Okay, Scheherazade. The piece, annotations. Wait, no. 1001. Arabian Nights. Although this just calls it 1001 Nights. Okay. Synopsis. The main frame story concerns a Persian king and his new bride. He's shocked to discover that his brother's wife is unfaithful. Discovering his own wife's infidelity has been even more flagrant. He has her executed, but in his bitterness and grief decides that all women are the same. The king, Shahryar, begins to marry a succession of virgins only to execute each one the next morning before she has a chance to dishonor him. Eventually, the vizier, whose duty it is to provide them, cannot find any more virgins. Scheherazade, the vizier's daughter, offers herself as the next bride, and her father reluctantly agrees. On the night of their marriage, Scheherazade begins to tell the king a tale, but does not end it. The king is thus forced to postpone her execution in order to hear the conclusion. The next night, as soon as she finishes the tale, she begins, and only begins, a new one. And the king, eager to hear the conclusion, postpones her execution once again. So it goes on for 1001 nights. The tales vary widely. They include historical tales, love stories, tragedies, comedies, poems, burlesques, and various forms of erotica. Numerous stories depict jinn, magicians, and legendary places, which are often intermingled with real people and geography, not always rationally. Common protagonists include the historical Caliph Harun al-Rashid, his vizier Jafar al-Barmaki, and his alleged court poet Abu Nuwas. Despite the fact that these figures lived some 200 years after the fall of the Sassanid Empire, which the frame tale of Scheherazade is set. Sometimes a character in Scheherazade's tale will begin telling other characters a story of his own, and that story may have another one told within it, resulting in a richly layered narrative texture. The different versions have different individually detailed endings. In some, Scheherazade asks for a pardon. In some, the king sees their children and decides not to execute his wife. In some, other things happen that make the king distracted. But they all end with the king giving his wife a pardon and sparing her life. The narrator's standards for what constitutes a cliffhanger seem broader than in modern literature. While in many cases a story is cut off with the hero in danger of losing his life or another kind of deep trouble, in some parts of the full text, Scheherazade stops her narration in the middle of an exposition of abstract philosophical principles or complex points of Islamic philosophy, and in one case during a detailed description of human anatomy according to Galen. And in all these cases turns out to be justified in her belief that the king's curiosity about the sequel would buy her another day of life. So That's the story of Scheherazade, according to, or of 1001 Nights, or Arabian Nights, according to Wikipedia.